I think that the most complex phenomenon in our world is the human psyche, and one does occasionally meet people who are horrified by my position and say, I took LSD 25 years ago and it's taken me this long to get it back together, and even now I don't feel that together. To me, the psychedelic is responsible only in the sense that it gave an X-ray of the psyche to the ego. And people who have been severely traumatized or abused or molested as children, who have real problems, are going to discover the breadth and depth of this traumatic material, and it may inhibit their ability to set themselves free and become great psychedelic explorers. I don't advocate this for everyone. In fact, I counsel people, and I don't always tell people they should go ahead with their plans if they're contemplating a psychedelic experience. Sometimes I tell them they need to do more reading or have more therapy, and sometimes I tell them they shouldn't do it at all. It's a calling. Downstream from those early experiences, you're dealing with, call it the overmind, the superego. It will give you not what you want, but what you need. And it can be extremely painful. It can be extremely humbling. It can be terrifying. It seems to me, in the people I have known and in looking at my own trips that had that quality to them, it's always to the good. The ego is completely obsessed with control and wants everything to be ameliorated and presented in easily digestible increments and to proceed along an orderly program of unfoldment. And it isn't like that. It has its own weather, it has its own dynamics, and you're much more in the position of someone sailing alone in a small sailboat. You can check the weather very carefully, and this will give you an edge. Nevertheless, squalls can turn into great storms with astonishing rapidity, and yet then you're in a position to really learn. But the learning is not, the real intense learning is not necessarily painless. And I see people nodding their heads all over the room. It is not for the faint-hearted, it just simply is not for the faint-hearted. People talk about how there are no frontiers left, and we lead such coddled lives within this society and in our well-furnished apartments with our stacks of CDs and all this. Actually, it isn't true. You can turn your living room into the helm of Magellan's ship. It's simply that the great unexplored dimensions are internal and psychological, but no less dangerous for that. So it's a calling for the exploring spirit, someone who really wants that thrill.